preparing the live stream. Okay, let's close this window. Let's go back on Zoom. Yeah. So good morning, everyone. We're live on YouTube. Hi there, people out there on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to RCIIS live stream course. This is pre-academic 3, and my name is Maggie, and you can see the bunch of my beautiful students out there, all energetic, right? All happy, all missing me over the weekend. Am I right? All right then, guys. So let's go. We're still waiting for 2 more students. Is that right? We're waiting for 2 and Talita. So they will be here soon. Okay, before we start the class today, let's have a little chat with our new friend in the class, Angie. Angie, welcome to our class, dear. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. And would you please introduce yourself to us shortly?
Okay. My name is Valentina. I am from Colombia.
Nice.
I'm 16 years old, and I want to learn English.
16 years old. Oh my God. She's just a couple of years younger than me, right? All right, dear. Welcome, Angie. Angie, are you still a student at school?
No.
You're not. So you already graduated.
Yes.
Okay, dear. Okay. So are you in Colombia right now?
Yes.
Excellent, dear. Excellent. So what brought you to the class? What's the plan? Are you planning to come to Canada?
Yeah. In
Perfect, dear.
July.
In July. Okay, dear. So good luck with your plans, dear, and you're the most welcome to the class.
Thank you.
Okay, dear, you're welcome. So, guys, how was the weekend?
Good, teacher.
Good. Did you do anything special?
No, nothing.
No. Doing nothing is great, huh?
Nothing is close, teacher.
I know, dear. I know. Carol, how's your sister?
She's better, teacher.
Okay, dear. Did you find out the reason?
She has an infection, but she will ask the doctor this week.
Okay. Okay, dear. And guys, have you heard from Anna? She wasn't feeling well on Friday. Have you heard of her? Any news from her? Yeah, unfortunately, her husband was diagnosed positive with COVID-19, so she was very worried about her husband, though. But she's gonna be okay. They're gonna be okay. So we have Andriana joining us here. Are you taking care of yourself, guys? Aren't you? Yeah? Be very careful. Be very careful about, especially when you go out, when you go shopping, when you go out for a run. So be very careful. Don't forget your masks, right? Don't forget your masks. All right, then. So, if you remember, over the last 2 weeks, we started the subject of the topic of clauses. And if you remember, we started talking about the relative clauses and then after that, noun clauses. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah? Perfect. We said that clauses have 3 different kinds of responsibilities. Sometimes they give us more information about a noun, which we call them relative clause. Sometimes they replace the noun, which we call them the noun clause. And today we're going to start talking about adverbial clauses. Okay? So, one more time, let me ask you some questions in order to refresh your memory about the clauses. Is that right? Eloisa, Do you remember what exactly a relative clause does in a sentence? What is the
Teacher,
main responsibility for a relative clause?
use relative clause e usa the relative clause in the large sentence
Uh-huh.
after verb.
After a verb, are you sure? We call it relative clause.
Immediately after the subject.
You're right,
Subject.
dear,
Oh, sorry,
right?
subject.
Immediately after the subject. No, not immediately after the subject. Immediately after a noun. Because a noun can be the subject, can be the object. Is that right? So it doesn't matter. Just come with me. Let's go to the board with me. Take a look. So sometimes you have to say, the book which you gave me was great. And sometimes say, I read the book which you gave me. Is that right? In both cases, the relative clause is which you gave me. And here, which you gave me. But in the first sentence, I'm giving you more information about the book, and the book is the subject of the sentence. Is that right? It's the subject of the sentence. But in the second one, again, I'm giving you more information about the book, but this time, the book is the object of the sentence. So never use this kind of explanation that relative clauses, they come after the subject. No, be specific. Relative clauses are clauses that are immediately located after a noun. That noun can be the subject of the sentence or the object. Is that right? And what do? They provide more information, right? They provide more information about the noun. Yes, they provide more information about the noun. So no matter the noun is the subject or the object. This is what relative clauses do. What about noun clauses? Let me go back here and ask another friend about noun clauses. Carol, what do noun clauses do? You're on mute, dear. You're on mute.
Sorry, teacher.
No problem, dear. Go on.
A noun clause that acts as a noun
Very nice. They act as a noun.
can be used at the subject and direct object, indirect object,
Very nice, dear.
some object of a preposition too.
Good job, dear. Good job. Anytime, in any part of the sentence which a noun can sit, a noun clause also sits. What about the location for the noun? What is the role of the noun in a sentence? A noun in a sentence can be at the beginning of the sentence as the subject. It can be after the verb as the object. It can be after a preposition that we call it the object of preposition. Is that right? Let's go to the board. So take a look. Your story is great. I like your story. I am interested in your story. I want you guys to focus on the noun story.
Story.
Your story is great. I like your story. I am interested in your story. This is what you see in the examples is the different location for the noun in a sentence. A noun in a sentence can be the beginning of the sentence that we call it subject. Is that right? It can be after the main verb, which we call it object. It can be after the preposition, right? It can be after the preposition, which we call it object of preposition. And in all three cases, we can cancel the noun and replace it by a noun clause. Let's do it. Number one, what you say is great. Take a look at here. In the new sentence, instead of your story, which is the noun, is that right? And the subject, I used what you say. And what you say is a noun clause. Right? This is a noun clause. In the subject position. Help me with the second one, guys. Help me, Adriana. I like. I like what?
What your story?
What your story? No. What? Cancel your story because your story is the noun. A noun clause replaces a noun. So you cannot use a noun clause and the noun together. Cancel your story. What you
say.
Is that right?
Say me.
I like what you say. What you say, what you're saying, what you said, your story. And the third one, I am interested in, now the clause, what you say. Or what you're saying, right? So, noun clause as the subject, noun clause as the object, noun clause as object of preposition. This is the subject, this is the object, this is the object of preposition. Now, how to make relative clauses or how to make noun clauses? What kind of conjunctions we need? In the relative clause, do I need which or who or when? Or in noun clauses, I need what or that? These are the detailed information that we already talked about. Is that right? So I just wanted to refresh the idea in your mind before we start the lesson today. The lesson today is going to be about clauses, but not relative clauses, not noun clauses. We're going to talk about adverbial clauses. Yeah, adverbial clauses. Question number one, before we start. Any problem here, guys? If anything is just, if there's a question mark in your head, please ask your question, right? Don't let anything be dark in your brain. So make everything clear. You remember we talked about it. If you want to solve the problem, you have to put light on it. So think about it. If there's any dark point in your mind, please ask your questions anytime. Question number one, adverbial clauses. Before we talk about the adverbial clauses, let me ask you a question about adverbs. What do adverbs do in a sentence? What do nouns do? They are the subject or object of preposition. What do adjectives do? Adjectives give you more information about a noun, no matter what the noun is. Is it the subject or object of preposition? What do adverbs do?
Teacher, they help to modify the meanings
Modify what? Modify the meanings. What do you mean, Natalie? Modify
the
the meanings of the?
other words.
No, it's not very clear. Of the other words, no. Not the other words. I need more specific explanation. Listen, I said, okay, guys, I need to go. I need to go. Add the verb of going, right? Say, bye, I'm going. Say, hey, stop, Maggie. Where? Where are you going? Huh? Where? And wait, why? Why are you going? Or, really, you're going? When? When are you going? An adverb gives you more information about the verb. When the verb happens. Why the verb happens. Yeah? How the verb happens. Listen, I say, okay, guys, you know what? I can drive. I say, oh, really? Perfect. And how? How do you drive? Do you drive carefully? Do you drive carelessly? Do you drive fast? Do you drive slowly? I say, hey, guys, everybody in this class can speak English. And you say, oh, really? It's good. But how? I say, everybody can speak English fluently. Everybody can speak English accurately. So accurately and fluently are giving you more information about speaking. And speak is a verb. Yes? So one of the main responsibility of adverb, right? One of them is provide you with more information about the verb. One, when the verb happens, adverb of time. Two, where the verb happens, adverb of place. Three, how the verb happens, adverb of manner. Four, how often the verb happens, adverb of frequency. Huh? Why the verb happens, adverb of reasoning. There are different kinds of adverbs in English. That some of them we already studied and some of them we're going to study in future classes. But what we are going to focus on today is talking about adverbial clauses. But what kind of adverbial clauses? Time, manner, reasoning? No. Today we are talking about a very familiar adverbial clauses. Let me write it on the board and then you tell me what you know about it. Come here with me. Follow me here. So today we're talking about adverbial clause. How? Let me give you a little help and then you tell me the name. Okay, guys? So let's see. Adverbial clause of come on here. This is the form. This is part A. I mean, the first version of it. And this is the second version. What do we call the topic? What kind of adverbial clause is that?
Condition.
Condition. That's it. I'm pretty sure that all of you know about conditional sentences because, you know, it's a very general topic, you know, grammar that when you start learning English, immediately you're going to learn about them, especially if you had, passed the pre-academic 1 class or 2 class, pre-academic 1, 2, and now again 3. The teachers always talk about adverbial clause of condition. Then let me write the name here. Adverbial clause of condition. Is that right? And generally speaking, to make it a little easy to understand, we call it if clauses. Yes? Maybe you have never heard the name of adverbial clause of condition, but I'm pretty sure all of you heard about if sentences. Conditional sentences, this is the format, guys. This is the format. You start your sentence with a conjunction that shows the condition. Do you remember I told you all of the time for clauses, we need a subject, yes? And after that comes the verb. This is what we call the clause, if clause. And what about the main clause? The main clause goes with subject and verb. And of course, the rest of the sentence. The same grammar is here. The only thing is we have exchanged the location of the main clause and if clause. This part of the sentence is called if clause, and this part of the sentence is called main clause. Question: can I exchange the if clause and main clause? Of course you can. Look at the B version. First is the main clause, then the conjunction, and then the if clause. So yes, the only difference is that comma. Can you see that? The only difference is that comma. So if you study, comma, you will pass your exam. Or you will pass your exam if you study. Is that right? So the only difference is that comma in the middle of two sentences. So let me write it here one more time. So main clause, subject, and verb. And of course, if clause, again, subject and verb. So guys, be careful. In complex sentences, there are two sentences that one of them is the clause, one of them is the main sentence. The sentence that starts with a conjunction, such as if, that sentence is called clause, conditional clause, or any other kind of clauses. And the second sentence starts with the subject and then verb and the rest of the sentence, we call it the main clause. Now, tell me, what do you know, right? What you know about this kind of clauses, conditional sentences? What do they do? What do they introduce? Of course, they introduce a condition, right? Of course, they introduce a condition. something happens if something else happens. Is that right? One action depends on the other action. This is the meaning of condition. Is that right? You come to me for help? Okay. I will help you if you listen to me. Right? So my helping to you depends on you listening to me. This is the meaning of conditional sentence. One action depends on the other action. If the condition is met, then the action is done. Let me see. Guys, who passed a pre-academic 1 and 2? Who was in Adam's class or in Paulo's class? Yes. Carol, Eliza, Aurelie. Very nice, dear. Yes, dear. Claudia. Claudia, how many different kinds of conditional sentences are there in English? Have you ever heard about the variety of conditional sentences? No.
I remember.
You don't remember any. Okay, guys. Guys, can you help Claudia?
Sorry?
No,
It's
I'm
5.
asking your friends to help you.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 conditional.
5 conditional, Natalie.
Yeah.
Can you name them?
Okay, 1 second. Let me think in the names.
Okay.
I remember Adam saying the class in Prague. One second.
Good. Think about it. Yeah. Thinking is good, everybody. I recommend you do that. Think.
They have like a number name, something like that.
Yeah. Good. Continue. You're on the right track. Go on.
First,
First,
second,
second,
third,
third,
mix,
and mixed. What about this
and
one?
0, teacher.
0. Huh. Start from 0. Is that right? Perfect. There are 5 different kind of conditional sentences. Type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3, type mixed. Is that right? 0, 1, 2, 3, mixed. Of course, for mixed, there are 2 more different kind of, different kind of mixed sentences, mixed conditional sentences, but we're not going to focus on them right now. So let's go. So, type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3, and mixed. We have already learned about type 0 and type 1, and today we're going to talk about type 2. About type 3 and mixed, we will talk about them later. Okay, we will talk about them later. Let me give you a refreshment. Type 0, conditional sentences type 0 are about facts. Okay? Conditional sentences type 0 are about facts. Conditions that they have the same result all the time. Is that right? Conditions that have the same result all the time. Let me give you an example, then you can just find out what I'm talking about. If you heat water to 100 degree centigrade, comma, it boils. Is it possible anytime I put some water on the stove and heat it up to 100 degrees centigrade and it doesn't boil? Is it possible? Is it?
No.
Of course not. This is the scientific fact. Heating water up to 100 degrees centigrade, there is only and only one result. The result is it starts boiling.
Mhm.
And the opposite, if I put the water in the freezer, right, and make it the temperature going down to 0 degrees centigrade, there is only one result. The water freezes. Is that right? No other result. Other results are impossible because these are scientific facts. Talking about facts, the conditions that the results are always the same because of the scientific reasons behind them, these kind of conditional sentences are called type 0. Look at the sentence here. This is the clause. This is the result. Is that right? Which one is the condition? If. What about the subject? You. What about the verb? Eat.
Eat.
And the rest of the sentence? Comma, subject, it, and verb, boils. This is called, the first sentence is called if clause. The second one is called main clause. Please answer my question. Look at the if clause. What is the tense of the verb in if clause? What's the tense?
Present.
Simple present, right?
Present.
What about the result?
Simple present.
Again, simple present. So you got it. In conditional sentences type 0, the tense of the verb in if clause and the tense of the verb in main clause, both of them are simple present. Okay? Because it's a fact and it never changes. Conditional sentence type 1. I'm just trying to help you to remember, right? Before we start the new lesson today, I want you to remember type 0 and type 1. Type 1 talks about possibility in future. Conditional sentences type 1. They introduce the condition that in future the result is possible. Possibility in future. Look at the sentence. Look at the example here. If you study, comma, you will pass. This is the conditional This is the if clause. This is the main clause. Look at the tense for the verb in the if sentence, if clause. I'm sorry, not here. Here. What is the tense of the verb?
Present.
Again, simple present. Is that right? Again, simple present. What about the result?
Future.
Future. What is the responsibility for conditional sentence type 1? Introduce the possibility in future. What does it mean? It means that now, if you study, you have the possibility of passing your test in future. But sometimes it happens, it's not a fact. Sometimes it happens, I study a lot, but I fail because the exam is very difficult, right? Because the exam is very hard, it's very difficult. So there is no guarantee that you study, you will pass. Can I say if you study, you pass, just like type 0? No, there is no guarantee. Sometimes I study very hard, but I don't pass, I fail because the exam is very difficult. So if I study, I give myself the possibility to pass the test in future. Maybe yes, maybe no. But passing is possible. Why? How? Here, there is a condition. If you study now. So this is the grammar. For conditional sentence type 1, the condition if clause comes in simple present and the result, main clause, comes in future. If you help me today, I will help you tomorrow, but there is no guarantee. Maybe tomorrow I'm gonna be very busy and you ask for help and I say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. So there is the possibility that I help you, but there is no guarantee. If there is a guarantee, it's type 0. Is that right? Because type 0, the condition always provides the same result. So one more time. Type 0, simple present, type 1, simple present for condition, and future for the result. Is that right? If you do your homework regularly, you will learn the lesson very well. But sometimes you do your homework, but it's still, you've got some problems, so that's okay. What we are going to focus on today is conditional sentence type 2. We're not talking about type 3 or mixed today, okay? But we're going to focus on conditional sentences type 2. I want you to pay attention to this part of the lesson. Conditional sentences type 2 are about present. Okay? They are about present. But something is special about the present. They are about present, but they're talking about unreal present. If I say I am a girl, it's present and it's real, right? I am a girl, it's present and it's real. But can I say I'm a boy? Say I'm not a boy right now, right? I'm not a boy. So I want to give you the condition that what would happen if I were a boy? I want you to, before I give you the sentence, because I want to write an example for you. When you look at the sentence, the verb is past, but I want you to remember that the meaning of conditional type 2, the meaning is present, but the face of the sentence is past. But remember, I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm talking about the present time. Look at here. Very famous sentence. If I were rich, I would help the poor. When you look at the verb, you see that, okay, the verb for the tense for the verb in the first part, conditional sentence, is past tense, and in the result is again past tense with would. So I said, okay, it's about past, but no. The face of the grammar is past, but the meaning of the sentence is present. But what kind of present? Look at here. If I were rich, what is the reality? I am not rich. This is the reality, right? The reality is I am not rich, but the condition, if I were rich, I would help the poor. What is the reality? The reality is I cannot help the poor, right? This is the reality. Why I cannot? Because I'm not rich. Conditional sentence type 2 introduces a kind of imaginary situation, unreal situation. But I want you guys to remember that the meaning of conditional sentences type 2, the meaning refers to present, but unreal present. This sentence, if I were the president, if I were the president, I would help international students more, right? If I were the president, I would help international students more. What is the reality? Tell me, what is the reality? Am I the president? I'm not. No. So the reality is I am not the president. If I were the president, I would do this, I would do that. The face of the sentence, when you look at the if clause, you see the verb is past. When you look at the result, you see it is would. Would is past tense of will. But in reality, the sentence is not past. The sentence is talking about the unreal present situation. The reality is now we are in class. Are we on vacation right now?
No.
Do you feel like that you're on vacation? No, we're in class. But I said, oh my God, if I were on vacation right now, I would go to the beach. The reality is I am not on vacation. I cannot go to the beach because I'm just imagining the situation. Is that right? So remember, conditional sentences type 2 talk about unreal present. All right? When you look at the if clause, the verb comes in past tense. The main clause, the result, comes with would plus simple form of the verb. And you know that would is the past tense of will. But something that I want you, probably you know that, right? In conditional sentences type 2, look at here, was is not used, right? Because you say, oh my God, you said I was, not I were. Is that right? I was, but no. Usually in conditional sentences, we don't use was. Even for I or he or she or it, we use where. The reality is my mother is not in Canada. But I say, if she were here, huh? If she were here, the reality is she's not. If she were here, we would enjoy a lot. But the reality is she's not here and I'm not enjoying my life right now. So don't use the past tense of am, is, are. Usually the past tense is was and were. But in conditional sentences, forget about was. We use were.
Teacher,
Yes, dear.
I have a sentence. I don't know if it's right. I put, if I won the lottery, I will travel around the world.
Exactly. Let me write your sentence here. Let me write your sentence. If I won the lottery, comma, I would travel the world. It's a kind of imaginary situation, guys, right? Natalie says, okay, let me see. If I won the lottery, what would I do? I would travel the world. Of course, unfortunately, it's not happening to her. She's just imagining it. Is that right? In case it happened, she would do that. But the point is, it is not happening. This is exactly, Natalie, a beautiful, correct sentence in conditional type 2. So, simple past here for condition, simple past. For result, would travel, but remember, the real tense of the sentence is present. Natalie is not talking about last month. Natalie is talking about now. If I won the lottery, the reality is I'm not winning. And I would travel around the world. Can you make other sentences just like Natalie? Make sentences.
Me, teacher. If
Yes,
I
dear, go.
were, if I were rich, I would build the big house. I think.
Yes. Will or would?
Would.
Would buy a big house. Guys, we know that Aurelie is having a little baby soon. So what she's thinking about is a big house. Is that right? Of course not. Of course, Aurelie, you're just imagining it now, but I hope it really happens to you. Is that right? But Natalie said the baby is coming. My apartment is small. If I were rich, I would buy a big house. Is that right? Beautiful sentence, actually. The reality is, unfortunately, Aurelie is not rich, so she cannot buy a big house. This is the reality. But again, guys, yes? But again, take a look. Condition, simple past, result, would buy. We call it future in the past, right? Future in the past. Perfect. Perfect sentence, Aurelie. Go on, guys. One more. Juan, give me a sentence. Juan, you're so quiet today. Give me a sentence. Let me see where you are, Juan. Yeah. Juan, can you hear me? Juan? You're on mute, Juan. I can't hear you. I think
Oh,
there's a...
sorry.
Oh, no problem, dear. Yeah, go. Tell me your
I think
sentence.
that if I cook it,
If, wait a sec. If I cooked, cooked.
cook,
Uh-huh.
I will, mm, I will be
Uh-huh.
a good chef.
I would be a chef.
Yes.
Is that right? Excellent. So let me make your sentence a little, let me improve your sentence. If I could cook, well, I would be a chef. So in this sentence, Juan is telling us that he cannot cook well. The reality is he cannot cook well. So he says that, oh my God, if I could cook well, I would be a chef. So the reality is he cannot cook well, so he cannot be a chef. Is that right? Here. If I were a boy. I want you to complete this sentence for me. But remember, Chu and Juan cannot use this sentence because they are boys. Yes, guys? So the reality is they are boys. So this sentence is good for you girls, any of you. Let me ask Valentina. Valentina, what would you do if you were a boy?
If I were a boy, I would, I don't know, I would feel secure when I
Secure.
walk in the street.
That's it, dear. So guys, can you understand Valentina's sentence? It means now, as a girl, she doesn't feel secure when she's out walking in the street. Is that right? This is the reality. She's a girl and she doesn't feel secure. And she believes that, you know what? If I were a boy, I would feel secure when walking in the street. That's a beautiful sentence, right? Because the reality that is happening in some countries, because in most of the countries, or maybe, I don't know, depends, but girls are in danger somehow more than boys. Exactly. So this is, Valentina, you said you're in Colombia, dear, right? Yes. Isn't it secure for girls, especially late at night?
Yeah, Colombia is insecure for everyone. And for girls, it's more insecure.
Okay, dear. Okay, so for everyone. So you have to say, if I were a robot, I would feel secure. All right, dear. Okay. So is everybody aware of what is happening, right? Did you get the idea? We're talking about present, but not the present that is happening, the unreal present that we are imagining. If I were a boy, if I, look at my eyes, I have dark brown eyes. I say, oh my God, I love green eyes. If I had green eyes, yeah, I don't have blonde hair, right? I don't, but I say, oh, I love, if I had blonde hair, I would have a boyfriend. So the reason I don't have a boyfriend is because my hair is not blonde, right? So anyhow, so these are the imaginary situation that we express in conditional sentences type 2. right? The reality that is not happening, I'm just imagining it, and the result that is not happening, I'm just imagining it. Okay? Now, let me continue here with I'm keeping your sentences on the board because I want to continue it. So, look at when we say conditional sentences, the first thing that comes to my head is, if sentences, if. All the time, the name conditional represent the conjunction if in your head. Look at here. All your examples come with here. If I won, if I were, if I could, if I were. So here comes my question. If is the only conjunction I can use in conditional sentences? Can you give me other options instead of if? Do you remember we were talking about because? I told you don't say because all the time. Just use since, right? Since, because and since are the same. I passed my exam because I studied hard. So since I studied hard, I passed my exam. So since and because have the same meaning. So my question is, do I have to use if all the time, or do I have other options?
Is possible use whether?
No.
No.
If and whether, do you remember I told you, dear, for noun clauses, when you say if or whether, the meaning is exactly different. When I say if or whether, you're talking, Claudia, about noun clauses, not about adverbial clauses. But instead of if, you can use as long as.
And teacher, unless.
Of course, unless, right? I'm just telling you, give me a second. If and as long as are exactly the same. Or even you can use provided that. The meaning is exactly the same. Take a look at here. Let me change the color here. As long as I won the lottery, means if I won the lottery, I would travel the world. Or I would buy a big house as long as I were rich. It means if I were rich. Or I would be a chef provided that I could cook well. So all of them have the same meaning. The same meaning. But there are other options that you can use in conditional sentences, but the meaning is a slightly different. What we are going to talk about today, as Aurelie said, we're going to talk about unless. We're going to talk about only if. And we're going to talk about even if. If, as long as, provided that, exactly the same meaning. But unless, only if, even if. They are for conditional sentences, but the meanings are slightly different than if. What is the meaning of unless? Unless means?
If not.
Very good, true. If not. For example, I say, listen to me. I say, just imagine, you find a lot of money in a bag, for example, outside. It's imaginary situation. Because it is imaginary situation, I cannot say if you find, I say if you found. If you found a lot of money, what would you do? If you say that, okay, if you find a lot of money, what will you do? This is wrong because this sentence is talking about reality. I'm talking about unreal situation. If you find a lot of money, what will you do? Doesn't make sense because there is not a lot of money. So unreal present. If you found a lot of money, what would you do? Look at here. Let me see. Let me ask. Let me ask two. Two, what would you do if you found a lot of money? What would you do if you found a lot of money?
If I found a lot of money,
Mhm.
I would buy a new car.
Yes. If I found a lot of money, comma, I would buy a car. The reality is, of course, he didn't find it and he cannot buy a new car because it never happened. It's just imaginary. Now, I want to change the sentence of if to unless. Okay, if to unless. But look at here. I told you that unless means if not. Look at my sentence. I wouldn't spend the money
Unless.
unless I needed it. Of course, two gave us a very exact sentence. Two says, okay, no thinking, I would buy a car. You know that two loves driving. Is that right? Two loves driving. So without thinking. But some people say, no, I would give it to the police to find the owner. Is that right? Or I would try to find the owner of the money. I wouldn't spend the money. But wait, I wouldn't spend the money unless I needed it. What is the meaning of unless? If not, huh? Remember? Look at here. Unless means if not. Look at here. I wouldn't spend the money if, can you help me? If I did not need it. What is the meaning of unless? Unless means if not. Is that right? So the sentence after unless grammatically is a positive sentence. Grammatically is a positive sentence, but the meaning is negative. Right? The meaning is negative. I wouldn't spend the money. I wouldn't. Only and only one thing could change my mind. For example, I really needed the money. If I really needed the money, yes, I would have spent it. But if I didn't really need the money, no, I wouldn't spend it. So the sentence is, I wouldn't spend the money all the time. No. If I didn't really need it, I wouldn't spend it. So remember, the sentence after unless is positive, but the meaning of it is negative because unless means if not. What about only if? Only if introduces the only condition. There is only and only one condition. I would spend the money under only one condition. Only if I were broke. Broke. You know the meaning of broke, right? When I say I'm broke, it means I don't have any money. So if I had a little money, I would never spend the money that I found. If I found the money, I would never spend it. Never, ever, because it's not my money. But under only and only one condition. Just imagine I'm in Canada because of COVID-19. I lost my job, so I have no money for my rent. I have no money for food. I'm broke. Is that right? Only and only under one condition. So in that case, I use only if. I would spend the money only if I were broke. I'm not broke right now because this is the imaginary situation. If I found money, I would never spend the money only if, right? I would spend the money only if I were broke. What about even if? Listen to me carefully. That is the last one. Even if says, if I were broke or not broke, doesn't change anything. Listen. Even if introduces the condition, where is it? That does not change the result. Even if introduces the condition, that does not change the result. How? Look at the sentence. I wouldn't spend the money let me change the color here. I wouldn't spend the money even if I were broke. It means my situation wouldn't change the result. If I were broke, if I were not broke, the result is the same. I wouldn't spend the money because it's not my money. Even if introduces the condition that does not change the result. You know, dears, come on, listen to me. Sometimes I say, guys, on Saturday, we'll go on a picnic. But listen, if it rains, picnic is canceled. If it is not raining, we go on a picnic. So raining or not raining changes the result. Rain, no picnic. No rain, we go on a picnic. Okay? But what is the meaning of even if? Even if means no matter it is raining or not raining, we go on a picnic. Even if it rains, we will go on a picnic. It means no problem. The condition happens or not happens. Doesn't matter. It happens, it doesn't happen, doesn't change the result. The result is the same. Look at here. Look at here. I were broke or I were not broke. The result is the same. I wouldn't spend the money. Look at here. Here it says that. Here it says that. I would spend the money only and only under one condition. And what is that condition? Only if I were broke. But this sentence says, I am broke or I'm not broke doesn't change anything. I wouldn't spend the money because I believe that it doesn't belong to me. And what about here? Here it says, I wouldn't spend the money if I didn't need it. It means that no, it's not my money. But sometimes, you know, if I need it, yeah, I'm gonna spend it. So it's an exception. Unless introduces an exception. Only if introduces the only one condition, and even if introduces the idea that the condition, no matter what the condition is, the result is exactly the same. We need more practice, right? We need more practice. Here. In Unit 11, this is Unit 11, and this is the grammar, guys. Attention, attention. As we were talking about it, the grammar today is present, unreal, condition. It has another name. We call it type 2, conditional sentence type 2. Using unless, using only if, using even if. But what we did in the class was that we started the lesson from type 0, type 1, because I wanted to give you a little chance to remember what is exactly happening with conditional sentences, then coming to conditional sentence type 2. And the only important thing that I want you to remember all the time is conditional sentence type 2 is about present. And why do you, but maybe you don't know, you maybe said, okay, why is she so emphasizing on it? I'm emphasizing on this point because when we study about, in future, when we want to study about conditional type 3, you are going to be confused. So remember, conditional type 2 talks about present situation, but present unreal situation. Because conditional type 3 talks about, again, unreal situation, but in the past. So I don't want you to get confused. So present unreal condition is conditional type 2. After the if clause, we use simple past. After the main clause, we use would plus the simple form of the verb. But the whole situation is happening right now, but unreal now. I know maybe it's too much, but give yourself a little break. And after that, we come back and then we start practicing. When you practice, you'll find it a lot easier. Okay, guys? So if there is any question, think about it because we're going to talk about it after the break, guys. So right now, I'm going to stop the live, guys. Thank you, YouTube, for watching us. Okay, I hope it could help you a bit about the beautiful grammar of conditional sentences. So see you, everybody. See you guys after the break. All right?
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome, dear.